Hello and welcome to Odds on La Liga, match day 9 after the international break. Remember, we have Real Madrid on top of the table and now favorites. Alvaro to win La Liga 1.8 after Barcelona was smashed by Sevilla 4-1. It was perhaps the worst game under Flick.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that I think that Barcelona has had a few poor performances this season and a few very good performances that no one has been able to match, like the game against Valencia or the game against Getafe. But against Sevilla, Barcelona was totally thrashed. No one understood better than Almeida and Sevilla how to attack the high line of Barcelona, with commendable performances from former Barcelona player Alexis Sanchez. I think that Rubén Vargas, the Swiss international, was very good as well. And, it's one to follow. I think Barcelona has to think about what happened. Hansi Flick has to think about what happened. And Real Madrid is on top. I think that I said before that maybe this La Liga won't be won by the side who is more competitive in the Champions League, but by the side who makes less mistakes. I think that just playing okay and defending well, you can win La Liga. Let the rest make mistakes. And Barcelona and Atletico are making Atletico too many mistakes already, and Barcelona a few. And Real Madrid is capitalizing from that. Another thing I would like to say is that Sevilla is already in European spots. We have spoken about Sevilla this season. I think that they got it totally right with the manager. We spoke about that as well with Almeida, who came from places where the pressure is high, like River Plate. And the team looks at least well worked. And Sevilla is not playing in Europe, which is massively beneficial for them because there will be no fatigue on weekends. So Sevilla is 6th on the table. And one to follow, definitely. I don't think that they will become a great side, but they are definitely competitive again, which is good.
It's a manager work, great work by Almeida, the Argentinian. Well, we are going to talk a lot about all these things. So, guys, stay tuned. Of course, leave your comments, press the like, subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. And for Friday, we have Oviedo Espanyol. This is important for the relegation battle, and we receive shock news during the international break because Paunovic was sacked as Oviedo manager, and they got Luis Carrion. Apparently, Alvaro, there was some problems inside the dressing room because the team has 6 points. They are outside the relegation spots despite losing to Levante in the last game, and it was a big surprise. And the Espanyol are doing a very good start of the season, but now they are winless in the last 4, and they lost to Betis, missing a penalty in the last minute.
Yes, they did. But anyway, the Espanyol is a better side than Oviedo, and yes, they have had a bad run. But on the other hand, I think that generally speaking, they are better than Oviedo. The table says that. And, you were surprised maybe about Paunovic being sacked, but I was even more surprised, but way more surprised, about the fact that Santi Cazorla was being the guy who was blamed for the sacking of Paunovic. I just don't get it. Santi Cazorla himself had to appear in a press conference just to say that that wasn't true. I mean, it's just really upsetting to see that an Oviedo legend who could have played anywhere but decided to stay in Oviedo gets this kind of criticism. I mean, I just don't get it. But anyway, Oviedo got a new manager, Carrion. I think that with Paunovic, Oviedo conceded too much, and I wasn't too sure about what they wanted to do. However, Paunovic deserved to have at least 8 games in La Liga to prove his level and to prove his ideas, because he took the team from the second division to the first, earning a promotion. But anyway, this is a new chapter for Oviedo, a team that doesn't score many goals, as the table says. I think that there are no doubts about this. I mean, Oviedo has scored only 4 goals, conceded 14. If you score 4 goals, basically half a goal per game, you cannot stay in La Liga. It's plain and simple. They have to improve in that department. And Espanyol is way more balanced. Espanyol's to start with, goal difference is 0, which tells you that it's a way healthier team when it comes to results. They are half the table. There is a certain merit in what they do. Last season, Espanyol was the team that spent less money from all the big leagues in signings, I mean. And now they've got academy players, they've got a decent side, a good manager, and despite not having 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 available for this game, a player that is important in the role of the half striker or the number 10 footballer, I think that Oviedo is not going to beat Espanyol. And however, I think that Espanyol is going to get something from this ground. So I'm going to go for a draw, no bet for Espanyol, 175.
All right, for Saturday, we are going to talk about Sevilla, Álvaro, Sevilla, Mallorca. As you mentioned, they are in European spots after thrashing Barcelona. More importantly, getting back-to-back wins, something that didn't happen in more than 1 year. And now they must ratify the win against Barcelona. Against Mallorca, they are super favorites, as we can see in the odds, because Mallorca are really struggling. Bottom of the table, only 1 win, 5 points, and perhaps Arrasate might be in danger.
Could be. I mean, if there is a coup by the players, if the club senses that what happened in the start of the season with the captain, Dani Rodríguez, and Arrasate can have reverberations for the future, if the club senses that Arrasate may not be able to steer the ship in the right direction, I think that yes, Arrasate could be out, but on the other hand, he has earned the right to be here for a little bit longer because last season it was very good for Mallorca. That said, I think that the narrative of this game is all, in my opinion, or has to be all focused on Sevilla. Sevilla is playing at home. They are playing against the bottom of the table. I think that Sevilla has a great opportunity to build on what they did against Barcelona. They beat them comprehensively. The game against Barcelona could have been easily 6-1, 6-2 for Sevilla. They attack very well, very cleverly. I believe that the team had a plan. Then Sevilla is very physical. This is something that gets a little bit unnoticed, but in a league like La Liga, that is slightly slower, for example, than the Premier League, having a physical side with players who have like really powerful engines gives you normally the upper hand in this kind of games. And then up front, Alexis Sanchez and Vargas, I think they are good strikers. Then, you know, not everyone is perfect in Sevilla. For example, if you see their squad, they don't have a recognizable striker. But generally speaking, they do a good job. They attack quite a lot. 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗏 Romero is a bit wasteful, but at the same time, he earns himself scoring opportunities. And that midfield with Mendy, Shaw, and 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗏 is so physical that, you know, maybe they don't create a lot, but if they want to play fast football and play in transitions, that's very useful. So I'm going to go for Sevilla to win. I think they are the favorites here. They are going to capitalize on what they got against Barcelona. Sevilla to win 191. If you think that this is too much because Sevilla normally doesn't win more than 2 games in a row, Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Sevilla, 161 will be the conservative bet.
Great start for this new project of Sevilla and also for Alexis Sanchez. I'm so surprised. I didn't think he was going to have an impact, but he's having indeed a big impact in Sevilla. Well, his former club, Barcelona, playing at home against Girona, back-to-back defeats for Barcelona against PSG, against Sevilla, both games outplayed. Probably here still without Lamine Yamal, and apart from the defensive problems, Alvaro, perhaps we were expecting more in the offensive part also. In Sevilla, with when Pedri is not 100%, the team, I think, suffers a lot of criticism around Lewandowski, not only for missing the penalty, but also his age, out of form. This international break, we already learned that Barcelona doesn't have plans to extend his contract. Is obvious at his age, but now they have an easy game against Girona, although they are improving after a tough start. They got the first win of the season against Valencia, and before that, 2 draws.
Yeah, I mean, where should I start from? Number one, Lewandowski. I think that if Barcelona had a healthy salary or wage bill, and they could spend more money on wages, I think that they would have offered Lewandowski one more year. But the thing is that Lewandowski earns very good money, obviously, and Barcelona probably is thinking about the future and what to do with the number 9 position. This is a position that, do they want to give to Ferran Torres for the next season? Do they want Ferran Torres to be their number 9 at the start of the season? That would be a little bit risky. I don't think that Ferran is that good. If Barcelona wants to, let's say, go for a player like Julián Álvarez, that, by the way, is the rumor, but I don't know how Barcelona can make this deal happen as it stands. But if Barcelona wants to make a big signing in the number 9 position, maybe Lewandowski has to leave. Yes, I think so. Lewandowski is going to play this game, though. I really think so, because Ferran Torres had to pull out from the Spanish side. I think that Ferran Torres could be kind of available to play against Girona, but at the same time he has some muscle strains and maybe it's not the time for him to start the game. So Lewandowski, I think that he's going to score in this game, in fact. And one of my recommendations will be Barcelona to win and Lewandowski to score. That pays 180. Otherwise, there is a more conservative one here, Barcelona to win and over 2.5 goals in the game, 150. Why do I say this? Because Girona has conceded 17 goals. It's a massive, massive, massive amount. And I think Barcelona can score many against Girona. Not that Barcelona is going through a good moment. I think that they got many players who come and go when it comes to injuries. For example, now it's Olmo, it's Joan Garcia, Gavi, and it's struggling Barcelona to have the full squad available for Hansi Flick. I think that Dani Olmo's case is a very peculiar one. He doesn't seem to be able to play more than 4 or 5 games in a row. Luckily for Barcelona, I think Fermin is back, and let's see if Lamine Yamal is back. And another thing, last season they won the league with 𝗍𝗍. But I don't think that 𝗍𝗍 is the right goalkeeper for Barcelona. I don't think that he is the right goalkeeper for Barcelona, and I could see it against Sevilla the other day. He just doesn't come out, he doesn't help a lot, he obliges the defense to play a little bit closer to him, and Barcelona wants to play opposite football. So yeah, let's see how it goes. If Girona is capable of attacking Barcelona's high line, this game will have a lot of goals. But Barcelona is going to win it, I think. So Barcelona to win and over 2.5 goals, 150. But more importantly, I think the value is in Barcelona winning with Lewandowski in the score sheet. I think he will score because Ferran won't start. That pays 180.
It looks like it's written that Julián Álvarez could go to Barcelona, Lewandowski to Atlético de Madrid. These are the rumors in something similar that happened with Luis Suarez. Well, next game is a good one. Villarreal, Betis, both are candidates to finish in the top 4. Both are in the top 4 at this moment. Villarreal lost at the Bernabeu, second defeat of the season in La Liga, but looking very strong at La Cerámica. And Betis, Alvaro, are in a good moment, 3 consecutive wins in all competitions. As I mentioned, they beat Espanyol, saving a penalty in the very last minute.
Yeah, exactly. And this game is interesting. I think that these two are candidates to finish 4th in La Liga this season, probably over Athletic Bilbao as it stands from what I have seen, because Athletic is tremendously reliant on Nico Williams and Ollán Sánchez and Vivian, whereas Betis and Villarreal, they are not so dependent in one player, but they got like a more quality spread around the squad. So maybe this makes the difference for them at the end of the season. For this game, look, many players have been on international duty. I think Villarreal is going to have around 10 players in the World Cup, which is crazy for a team of that size. But I'm just looking at the numbers. I think Villarreal has been slightly better than Betis, but Betis has been more stable. Betis has lost only one game this season. Betis hasn't lost away from home. And yeah, this is pretty leveled. It's pretty leveled. So I cannot say, or I wouldn't like to take a risk about who is going to win this one. I prefer to go for the goals market. I am a believer that this game can be good in goals, not necessarily a crazy one, but a good one. So I'm going to go for over 2.5 goals, 175. We know that these teams are scoring quite well. I mean, without being super scorers, Villarreal has scored 14 goals and Betis 13 in 8 games each. This is a decent amount, not a top amount like the top sides, but still a very decent one. So I'm going to go for that one. Over 2.5 goals, 175.
Okay, Alvaro, you know that now we have a new tool in Oddspedia called Smart Bet. So powered with the AI that we've developed and so many data. We can check in the page, in the game page, the best bets for this game according to our AI. And for this game is under 3.5 goals, 1.5, the tool is telling us, and also double chance X2 for Betis, 1.93. This is what our tool is telling us. Every now and then, I will tell you.
Yeah, no, Betis hasn't lost away, but Villarreal has gotten 12 points out of 12 at home. So this is something to take into consideration as well. But, you know, these details or these data, contradict themselves a little bit. That's why I go for the over 2.5 goals. I think that goals will happen and these two sides are scoring.
Funny enough, in the last two seasons, both teams won away. Betis won both games in La Cerámica. Villarreal also won in the Benito Villamarín in the last two seasons. And on Saturday, we have Atlético Madrid, Osasuna. You mentioned at the beginning how Atlético Madrid are slipping away from fighting for La Liga because, again, they drop points after the Champions League, playing away against a weak team, kind of, or a weaker team, like Celta. In this case, was because Lenglet was sent off, a stupid mistake for a defender, in my opinion, that doesn't have the level to be there. And after smashing Real Madrid and Frankfurt, well, they have to get another result at home against Osasuna, a team that is very strong playing at home, but away lost all the games.
Yeah, they lost all the games, and then at home is a different story, as you said. Osasuna is kind of a team that on a good day can make it difficult for you. I guess that they will defend deep when needed in this game. And Atletico may find it difficult to score the first goal. And if they find it difficult to score the first goal early, then a little bit of stress can appear. But still, overall, and despite the draw in the last game, I think that Atletico de Madrid is in a decent moment. They recovered, by the way, Baena, who played for Spain already. It's weird with Atletico de Madrid because it is as if the approach in the games is the good one, but then the defense cannot handle it. And I'm going to explain it to you. I mean, Atletico de Madrid has scored first in each of the opening 8 games of the season. That's really good. And yet, they haven't won all of them. Normally, Atletico de Madrid scores first and then they suffer. Just to give you an example, and this is pointing at the defense especially. In the 13-14 season, Atletico de Madrid also scored first in the opening 8 games, but they got 24 points out of 24. This season, Atletico got 13 out of 24, and it is because the defense is not sustaining what the attack is doing. Plain and simple. And you refer, and rightly so, to Clement Lenglet's mistake. But I remember mistakes from every defender in Atletico de Madrid this season, even Lenormand, who happens to play better for Spain than for Atletico de Madrid as well. So if the defense doesn't improve, Atletico de Madrid will have to score more than 1 goal or 2 goals per game, which makes the team to make a massive effort. They have to improve the defense. And I don't know if Lenglet and Lenormand are going to become, I don't think so, a top quality defense. I don't think so. I don't think that they are the individuals, especially Clement Lenglet at this point in his career. But anyway, there are also good things at Atletico de Madrid. If you take the Champions League points and La Liga points, they got 7 out of 9. They beat Frankfurt very well. They beat Real Madrid very well. They got every possible profile. Up front, they got quality, they got speed, they got height, they got strength. Same thing applies to midfield. I think that 𝐿𝐭𝐭'𝐻, a player that I thought that he wouldn't have a great present, let alone a great future at Atlético de Madrid, has provided plenty of interesting things this season, and in the absence of Johnny Cardoso, the American footballer, 𝐿𝐭𝐭'𝐻 and Barrios have created a very good duo in midfield. I think that they are going to win this game. Osasuna is not a bad side. They have conceded not many goals, only 8, but Atletico to win will be -1, 143. I think that I'm going to keep that one for the safe bet, yes. Ace and handicap -1 for Atletico, 167. So if Atletico wins by 1 goal, you get your money back. If they win by 2 or more, you win your bet and you win 167. Individual market, talking about that one. The most likely player to score for Atlético de Madrid is Julián Álvarez. Just keep an eye on Julián. If he starts, him to score 191. Maybe this is for in-game betting. I don't know. If you see that he's having chances, if you see that Atlético is attacking. But yeah, Julián Álvarez to score 191 is interesting. But for me, the best one is ace and handicap -1 for Atlético, 167.
He was again substituted in Vigo when the team was not winning. He was not playing great, but again, it's surprising to remove your best player in the pitch when you need a goal. Next games on Sunday, Elche Athletic. Tricky one, this one. Elche first defeat of the season against Alavés. Playing with 10 men, but still is a great start. And Athletic, you mentioned how dependent they are on Nico Williams. He was back in the game against Mallorca, and Athletic finally won, trying to forget an awful run that they had during September.
Well, September was terrible. They started the Champions League with 2 defeats. They suffered defeats everywhere. They even lost at Valencia when the game was more or less settled. They even couldn't beat Girona. Girona, let's don't forget, is in relegation positions. But yeah, they turned a page, beating Mallorca. I think that they should have beaten them by a bigger margin. In fact, there were a couple of actions at the end of the game, especially one with Mallorca's goalkeeper just up for a corner that Nico Williams had an open run for himself, and I think that he was going to score, and suddenly the referee called the fault from Nico Williams that didn't make any sense. But anyway, Athletic won it, and Nico Williams was back, which is important. And then a new academy footballer step up and score a goal, like Alejandro Rego, a footballer who, by the way, is literally from Bilbao, and he lives 5 minutes away from San Mamés. This is the magic of football sometimes. Rego helped Athletic beat Mallorca. But anyway, this game is tricky. I think that Elche, despite the defeat, they're going to stay strong. They're going to keep the structure. And inevitably, little by little, they will fall on the table. Not suddenly, but probably gradually. And Athletic de Bilbao, if they keep the defense with Laporte and Vivian, they have more than enough to keep a clean sheet in this game and to keep it low scoring, really. So this is the kind of game in which I wouldn't put a lot of money. Probably I wouldn't put any. This is a pass for me because I think that these two sides can easily have a draw or can easily, put it to bed very quickly. I don't know if that's the right expression. I correct that. I think that these two sides can easily call it a draw here, but that would be a little bit risky as well, so I prefer to pass. I think the money is somewhere else.
Well, let's try to find the money somewhere else. Before, let me tell you what the smart bet is telling us. Double chance for Elche 1x. Odds are 1.7 is the top bet. And then we have total corners under 10.5 and total goals over 1.5. This is what a smart bet is telling us about this game, because Athletic are the favorites and Elche are the underdogs. Therefore, there is value on the underdog. Next one is Celta Real Sociedad, two teams that are struggling a lot in this start of the season. Celta is the only team without a win in this start of La Liga, but they have 6 points, 6 draws, and Real Sociedad only 1 win, 5 points. Funny enough, Alvaro, the strikers of both teams are playing with the Spanish national team, and especially 𝗲𝗏𝗿𝗏 is always delivering for La Roja.
Yeah, always. I mean, it's good that you point at the strikers because my bet is going to go in that direction. Look, Mikel 𝗲𝗏𝗿𝗏's case is pretty representative of what a footballer can offer when he is in the right context. Mikel 𝗲𝗏𝗿𝗏 has scored probably an average of 0.3 goals per game in the league in the last year. 0.3 goals per game is little. But then when he plays for Real Sociedad in knockout tournaments, and especially for Spain, especially since he scored the winning goals for the Euros in the final against England, Mikel 𝗲𝗏𝗿𝗏's number with Spain and with Real Sociedad in knockout tournaments are very good. I think that 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the best striker that Spain could field in the World Cup. I really think so. Not because he's the best of all the strikers Spain can field, but because he understands very well what Spain needs from him, and his connection with everyone is excellent. What would Real Sociedad be if Mikel Oyarzabal would be playing with Mikel Merino, Martin Odegaard, 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, and Alexander Isak? All footballers who belonged to Real Sociedad not so long ago. Mikel Oyarzabal is the only remaining survivor at Real Sociedad, and he's a little bit of a victim of that. I mean, Real Sociedad doesn't produce a lot of chances, and Mikel Oyarzabal doesn't score many goals for Real Sociedad, but still, I think that after having played for Spain, and after playing very well for Spain, Mikel Oyarzabal probably feels the responsibility of being Real Sociedad's man, the guy who pulls the strings and takes the shot. And Borja Iglesias is a similar case. Or, no, not similar, sorry. They both are Spanish, but Borja Iglesias has had a better start of the season than Mikel Oyarzabal at club level. Borja Iglesias is the best striker Celta has, and Mikel Oyarzabal is probably the best striker that the Spanish football can field in the World Cup. I'm going to go for these two together. I think that each of them is going to have at least over 0.5 shots on target. Okay? So Borja Iglesias and Mikel Oyarzabal to have over 0.5 shots on target each pays 207. I'm going to stay with that one. And I don't forget 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵. If you think that 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵𝐵 can deliver, check if he plays, but he has scored 2 goals in the last 2 games. But I'm going to focus on Iglesias and Oyarzabal. Again, if each of them has 0.5 shots on target, that pays 207.
Well, it's interesting, Alvaro, perhaps to check the correct score market 1-1, a classic for Celta. This pays 6.75. I think the draw is very likely, and 1-1 is the scoreline if you like to bet on exact score. And then we have Levante, Rayo Vallecano, both with 8 points. I would say it's a good tally after 8 weeks. Levante won in Oviedo, Rayo won against Real Sociedad, and both teams are way better when they are playing away than at home. Levante are still winless playing at home.
Can I single out the player? 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Levante?
Yeah,
he has contributed 5 goals and 3 assists. This is a footballer on loan from Villarreal, and we have to keep an eye on him, by the way, because it looks like he can be one of these footballers who can have a very good career. Rayo Vallecano and Levante, 2 sides that they could have started better, especially Rayo Vallecano. I think Rayo should have a few more points than they do have. They are 14th on the table, and they are exactly the same as Levante, who has 8 points as well. But Rayo hasn't scored a lot, and yet I believe that they got goals in them because their style invites scoring goals. And Levante has got a good start as well, scoring 13 goals this season, with 8 goal contributions from 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏, as I said before. I think that this game is going to be a little bit entertaining. I can expect that. So I'm going to go for both teams to score 175, because Rayo will attack and Levante is scoring quite a lot of goals.
Next game, Getafe, Real Madrid. It's never easy to go to the south of Madrid to play at the Coliseum. Real Madrid bouncing back after that ugly defeat against Atlético de Madrid. Mbappé said that the team lacked intensity in that game, and they beat Almaty and Villarreal. Now is a key part of the season for Real Madrid, playing against Juve, against Barcelona, against Liverpool. But the first stop, Alvaro, is Getafe. Usually, these games are really low scoring. Real Madrid usually win here, but 1-0, 2-0, usually, again, under 2.5 goals, with Getafe that are winless in the last 4 after a great start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they had a very good start, but they have gotten 2 points out of the last 12. I don't think that Getafe will recover in this game. They will be competitive. I have no doubts about that. But I think that Real Madrid has won so many games in here at Getafe's ground to think that they won't find it impossible to get the 3 points here. As well, Also, contrary to Barcelona, Real Madrid is a team that doesn't need a flow to beat the rival. Barcelona needs the ball to run, the ball to circulate quickly. Barcelona needs not to have many interruptions in the game for their exuberant game, I may say, to show up. Whereas I think Real Madrid knows how to capitalize moments, even in games that are constantly interrupted, which I believe that Getafe will against Real Madrid. Real Madrid is good in capitalizing small moments with quick bursts of speed from Vinicius and especially from Mbappé. Real Madrid can do that. Real Madrid can do that, and I think that they are going to win this game probably with individual flashes of brilliance. So I'm going to go for the following. Real Madrid to win, 145. Not a big deal of money here. Otherwise, Mbappé to score, 180. Mbappé is scoring a lot of goals. He is scoring every time he plays, basically, in this start of the season. But I wouldn't necessarily combine these two, because I know that playing at Getafe, despite everything I have said, is not particularly easy. I think Real Madrid is going to win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win it, for example, with a header from Jude Bellingham in the second half. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And this is not going to be super straightforward for Real Madrid. So one of those two will be my favorite, one of them offering less value, but probably being less risky, Real Madrid to win. And the other one, Mbappé to score, a little bit more of risk, but at the same time, it's inevitable to set our eyes on that because Mbappé is scoring a lot.
Well, in the last 13 games between these teams, both teams to score no in 12 of them. Only in one game we saw both teams scoring. A couple of seasons ago was only a 2-1 at the Bernabeu, so it's very likely a short margin result, as you mentioned, 1-0, a header from Militao, from Bellingham, or something similar. And on Monday we have Alavés Valencia. Valencia coming back from back-to-back defeats, ugly defeats against Girona and Oviedo, perhaps unexpected. So perhaps the team will suffer again this season, and this is a kind of direct clash against Alavés, although I don't think Alavés is going to suffer. Alvaro, 11 points is a great tally.
Well, Alavés are where they want to be. Again, they always seem to make it. They are clever. They know how to win at home. They know how to keep the games low scoring. In that sense, it's pretty much a replica of Getafe, and in fact both sides have 11 points. Valencia's thing is slightly more concerning. It's not the end of the world yet. Valencia beat Athletic Bilbao, for example, and that shows that you are a competitive side. But I don't like it when Valencia concedes. And then when they concede a goal, very quickly they feel demoralized. It happened against Barcelona when they lost 6-0. That was probably the most extreme example. But those last games they have lost, playing against Oviedo and losing to them 2-1 and then losing to Girona. Girona is a team in real need. And losing to Girona is something that, probably has to trigger all the red lights or all the alarms. Really, that is not normal. That is not normal. For this game alone, look, I think that Valencia is going to defend quite a lot, and I do believe that Alavés will find it the usual way difficult to score the first goal. Probably Alavés will keep some cautions despite playing at home. So there is a result there, 0-0 in the first half, 263, that I like. It feels like a very Monday football thing in a small team ground. 0-0 in the first half. None of the sides are particularly great scorers. If anything, Alavés is known for their defensive record at home, and Alavés has conceded only 8 goals, which is not bad. Otherwise, there is a more conservative variation of 0-0 in the first half, which will be under 1 goal in the first half, 155. So if in the first half there is 1 goal, you get your money back. But if there are no goals, you win that. But yeah, I would stick to that.
All right, Alvaro, this is it for our La Liga. We are back after the international break. La Liga match day 9. Remember that we have El Clásico in match day 10. So really, really interesting. Remember, guys, that you can post your tips in Oddspedia and win some cash prizes thanks to our tipster competitions. And of course, we also have rivals where you can create your own tipster competitions. A lot of unique tools you can find in Oddspedia. Let's finish the video, Alvaro, with your safe bet.
Atlético to win, 143.
And the ACCA?
Asian handicap -1 for Atlético, Barcelona to win, and over 2.5 goals in the game against Girona. Altogether 250.
Thank you, Alvaro. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Been a pleasure. Bye-bye.